Hello everyone of YouTube, welcome back to another episode of B Reviews Behind the Mask. Even though I'm not wearing a mask anymore. But you know what, the doctor says I don't need it, but you know what, after watching a review by a nostalgia critic and seeing what a horrible movie Sharknado is going to be, or even already is, it burned my eyes, so I have to wear the sunglasses. I know what people are probably thinking, here come the men in black, Galaxy Defenders. Except I'm not Will Smith where I go, I made this look good. Alright, so today, the movie I'm talking about tonight is James... Hold on, this is embarrassing. Oh, what the heck. I don't even write a script. By James Waltman. James Waltman's movie, The Woman in Black. This movie, with its PG-13 rating, is scary as heck. You know, there's no gore, there's no blood. It's just a pure atmosphere. Pure atmosphere is what makes this movie so good. So, what is the story of The Woman in Black? It is about this realtor, I guess you could say, who is having to go sell a house of a woman named Elle Marsh who committed suicide after her son drowned in the mud. So, and he has a little boy. And the chemistry between Daniel Radcliffe and his own godson was perfect. They had the chemistry that these two had. You believed that these two were father and son because they're actually, Daniel Radcliffe is actually this kid's godfather. So, and you know, it makes perfect, it makes really good sense on why these two work together so well. They're actual family. So, you know, he said when you look at the directors, he's like, you know, you can't fake a real family, so that's why I decided to have my godson play my son Joseph in this movie. So, his character is a man named Arthur Kipps, who is a realtor, who is going to try to go sell the Marsh's house. And so, you know, he goes to this little town, and he goes to the motel, and he finds that he is only able to stay up in the basement, or in the attic. And what's creepy about this attic, in the beginning of the movie, we see these three little girls who are, you know, just pretending to have a tea party. They have like the glass tea. And this goes back like when cars were first coming around, and when when telephones just came around. So it was, I'd probably have to say, maybe 19th to late, I'd have to say at least early 19th century at least. So, but we see these little girls just having a regular tea party. All of a sudden they look up, and you get this look. They get this look in their eyes, and this is creepy. These kid actors are really good at selling what they're trying to portray, and these are just kids they look like they're under a spell. So all of a sudden they get up and they just walk over their glass dolls, and then all of a sudden they open the window, and then they jump to their desk, and all of a sudden you hear a woman scream, "My babies are dead." You just hear the woman scream. You don't see what happens. I mean, you pretty much know what's going to happen, but you don't see them. So yeah, that basically, you can tell by the beginning of this movie, oh crap, this is going to be good. And what he wanted to do, what James Walton wanted to do, was make a scary gothic movie. No, you know, slasher horror genre. He wanted to just make a movie based on atmosphere. And the mansion, the castle, well, no, not the castle, the house in this movie, you feel like you're in there with him. And if you've ever played Resident Evil Archives, it's like this humongous mansion. And just the atmosphere, the darkness, the creepiness of it, the gothicness, and that's not even a real word, but you get a feeling of, oh crap, this is freaking scary as heck, man. So he arrives in the town, and then he goes to the Marsh's house, but he has to pay the carriage driver 6 shillings, to take him to the house. Because he was paid to take him to the train station because, you know, they want him to leave. But you can obviously tell something is not right with this town. For some reason, they do not want him going to the house. So he gets to the house, and he walks around this house. And as soon as you open the door, you're like, oh man, this is creepy and crazy. So as he's just walking around the house, we get glimpses of this woman we get glimpses of this woman who is stalking him in the house. Like, you don't really see her look at him until he opens a window and he sees her in the graveyard, and then he goes, and then she's gone. And then as he's starting to stay in the house a little bit more, he starts hearing, we get glimpses of a child sinking in mud, and you hear a horse whine, but you also hear a child whine, and you hear a child scream, "Mommy," and then you hear a woman scream. And then all of a sudden, the guy on the carriage takes him back. And he runs into this guy on the train named Sam Daly, who was played by Kieran. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but if you've ever watched Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance, he played the devil in Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance, which I honestly recommend that movie. He is a man whose child died at a very young age, and he has not come to terms with the grief that his child died at a young age. He has not gotten over it. Him and his wife Elizabeth have this relationship where they love each other deeply, but there is something keeping them from showing each other that love. When he invites him to their house to have dinner, she says that she's getting possessed by like her son who gets her to take a knife, and she starts drawing pictures like on the kitchen table, and like it showed one of a person hanging herself. So the next time he goes back to the town, when he goes back to the town for the first time after coming to the house, he says, "Constable, I seen a woman there." He's like, no one is on that land anymore. It's abandoned, nothing. And so then he says, "I swear I seen a woman there." He's like, "I'll be right back." All of a sudden, we get these three kids who are carrying their middle sister. Her name is Victoria. And she says she drunk some lye. And he's like, "Lye?" And you realize, oh crap, that is bad. That can kill somebody. So she starts coughing up blood. And you're just sitting there disturbed like, oh my gosh, this is horrible. Kids are dying in this movie. Kids are dying. You're seeing them coughing up blood, committing suicide. These kids are committing suicide because when you watch all of this movie, you find out that Ilmarsh's sister took her son away from her because she was declined and sane or something and not fit to take care of her child. So after she hung herself, whoever sees her, she will take their children. It's punishment basically for taking her child away from her, so she's going to take their children away from them. She's getting revenge on the whole village. And so these children keep dying. One drinks lye, coughs up blood, and dies. And like all of the people are like, you saw her at the house. Why didn't you listen when we told you, don't go to that house? Why didn't you listen? And like everyone's saying, Samuel's basically saying this is all rubbish, and this guy's like, was it the rubbish that took your boy? So then basically after he goes to the house a second time, and this was the creepiest scene of the movie. He stays in the house half the night, and this is where things start to really get creepy. As he finds the son's room, there's doors in the house that he can't open, and he has the key, but he will like see, he'll like either see the boy or he'll see her on the grounds, and he will like try to open a door, but then when he goes downstairs to get something to unlock the door opens. And like the tension is building up, like your heart's being like, oh my gosh, and this is really getting tense. And this movie still scares me. These scares are creepy. They're not like, someone's just going to jump out and say boo. No, this house, it's about the atmosphere and how creepy this is. And like, there's a scene like where he's asleep and she is standing right behind him. But you don't see her face. You see her face, but you don't see what she looks like because she's wearing a veil over her face. It's like in the Halloween remake with Michael Myers. He takes off this mask. You can barely see his face, but his long hair keeps you from seeing his face. And so Sam says, okay, here, take the dog to have some company. So while he's asleep, she creeps up to him, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is going to get so creepy. And then all of a sudden the dog barks and it wakes him up, and he turns around and nothing's there. And later at night, he looks outside, and it's storming bad. And he goes outside, and he sees a boy crawl out of the ground. And then he goes outside, and he sees all these dead children. All of these dead children. And then he runs back in the house, and then all of a sudden he hears a rocking chair, and you're like, why is this chair rocking back and forth so quick? And then when the rocking chair goes back up, you see her in the chair, and like it makes you jump. This movie was like The Conjuring. It had jump scares, but also had scares of atmosphere. And I know I keep talking about atmosphere a lot, but these actors really sell this. You can definitely tell that Daniel Radcliffe has come a long way from Harry Potter, and I can honestly not wait to see what other films he's going to be in, to see what he can bring in his career besides just playing Harry Potter. So basically he decides, okay, maybe if I reunite her with her son, maybe she'll be at peace. And after the third child has died, because when they get back to the house, they go to basically tell again, I seen somebody, but he sees a girl. He sees something downstairs, so he goes downstairs and looks in the door, and he sees a girl is locked up, and she's like, go away, you caused Victoria to kill herself. Go away, keep away from me. And then he realizes when he goes to the house again, and when he comes back, the place is on fire, and he sees her. The woman in black makes this child commit suicide by burning herself to death. And he tried to run in and save her, but it was too late, the child died. So then he's like, okay, you know what, maybe if we can reunite her son with her, maybe she'll be at peace. And, the child drowned in the mud, so he has to literally tie a rope to himself and dive into this mud, this thick, black, gooey mud. And he brings up the body, and he goes into the room, and he goes in like many different rooms in this house, but he goes to the boys' room. And this boy's room, his mom bought him a lot of toys, but they are the creepiest things I have ever seen in my life. And there's a creepy monkey. For some reason, there always has to be a creepy monkey toy. It's like, it's creepy. It's like just so freaking creepy. The house is practically a character itself. This gothic place that looks like the color of death. You get the feeling that death is there. And it just makes your heart jump, and it makes you want to jump out of your seat. We learned that the author's wife died in childbirth, and he has not been the same since. He's basically cut himself off from this world. And so he says, there are times when I think my wife is here, still with me. He wants to admit that there is a world out there beyond the world that we live in. He wants to believe there is a spiritual world. But at the same time, he also doesn't want to. And there's times in this movie when the woman in black is chasing after him. There's times when he is seeking her out to try and find her. And just his character was so good. His character wasn't not depressed, but more tortured than anything, because he lost his wife and he has his son and he loves his son, but it isn't until after he reunites her with her own son that he comes to realize, I miss him a whole lot more than I think. So what they basically do is they bring the body in there, and he turns around, like he starts all the toys, and then he turns around, all of a sudden you see her face and she comes screaming at the camera. It's like, and then he moves out of the way, and then all of a sudden he takes his body and he puts it in his mother's casket, and then he closes it. So I tell you, so then he decides, okay, my son and the nanny are going to be here in a couple hours. So they go to the train station after doing that. But when he goes to the train station, they take us a view through the house one last time. And you hear her voice echo, never forgive, never forgive, never forgive, never forgive, never forgive. And then while he is, when his son comes, he holds him and he holds his hand. And, while he's talking to Sam, Joseph sees the woman in black. And he goes out in front of the train tracks, and Arthur comes and grabs him and jumps out of the you think that they're going to get out of the way, but the train comes and it hits him. And he's wondering where Sam is, and then his little boy's like, Daddy, who's that woman? And he's like, that's your mommy. So all three of them walk off into the inn together, and then we get one last shot of the woman in black standing at the train station, and then her eyes just get bigger and the movie ends. They did really good with these characters in this movie. They said that Mrs. Daly's character was actually different. She in this movie, both of these actors are about 6 foot. But they said in the book, this is actually based on a real novel, that in the book she is short and fluffy. So they decided to change her character a bit. I don't know, but all the actors did a really great job in this movie. The costume designs were perfect. The story was amazing. This is a way how you do a scary movie. Not with blood and guts and gore, but with just atmosphere in a creepy house, a creepy mansion. It is perfect for a movie like this. Now, the woman who played the woman in black, we learned the reason why she's so heartful. I mean, after she loses her son, but the things that Arthur discovers in the house, he discovers that there is letters that she wrote saying, "He is my son. He is always going to be mine. He's never going to be yours." And then when the son dies, she keeps writing more letters. And she's like, "You didn't even try to save him. You can rot in hell." And like when he's reading these, he's like, "Oh my gosh, these are terrible. These are awful." And then he goes into this room, this other room, and he sees like it's got torn wallpaper, and he tears the wallpaper off, and he sees in blood, written in blood, letters on the wall, "You could have saved him." But I tell you, the best scene in this movie is when he is in the house by himself, having to do whatever it takes just to survive the night. And like he lights, like we get a good scare, like when a candle goes out, he lights the match. You see the dead boy's face get right up in his face and screams, and it just freaks you out. It will freak you out. This movie will definitely freak you out. This movie was good in theaters in the year 2011. It's still good today. This director is definitely going places. I honestly recommend that you check this movie out. It is a good scare for the Halloween season. It's a good scare, period. It is a good scare. Like The Conjuring, I will be re-reviewing The Conjuring again. But back to this. They wanted to make a movie that was just scary. But one thing that Daniel Radcliffe said, if you make it care more about the characters, the more scared you will be, because you learn, oh crap, I don't want anything bad to happen to this awesome character. When things start to happen, you get freaked out and you're wondering, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? What's he going to do to survive this? And it creates this illusion that you actually feel like you're in the house with him. Like in the Resident Evil game I mentioned before, when you're walking down hallways and lightning strikes and you see images of zombies in the hallways, and in this, there's a certain picture frame that he spins and her eye gets right and looks at him, and he freaks out. Guys, I am telling you, this movie is something I definitely recommend. It is something that will make you jump out of your seat. It'll something that will make you cringe. You'll feel the hair stand on the back of your neck. Guys, I am Nick Smith. This is Reviews Behind the Mask. I am also the Phenomenal Critic. Check out next time when I probably do another Saw movie review. I don't know. Thank you guys. Have a good night.